The rain had already soaked the red village road into a ribbon of mud when the black luxury car broke down right in the middle of it, its polished body looking painfully out of place among the fields and banyan trees, as if wealth itself had taken a wrong turn. Inside that car sat a man the world knew as untouchable, a billionaire, whose name moved markets, but at that moment he was trapped, helpless, bound to a wheelchair, watching water creep toward the tires while his phone showed no signal, and his driver lay unconscious from a sudden stroke. Fate had stripped him of power in one cruel instant, and it was about to place his life in the hands of someone who had nothing. If you believe that kindness can change lives, and that second chances arrive in unexpected forms, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive, stories that remind us what it truly means to be human. Arav had not planned on being a hero that evening. He was just a single father from a small village, a man whose days were measured in borrowed time and quiet sacrifices. His hands were rough from years of farm labor, his shoulders permanently slouched from carrying more than his share of grief. Ever since his wife died during childbirth 5 years ago, his world had narrowed to one fragile center: his daughter Mira, a bright-eyed girl with laughter too big for their crumbling house. Arav worked odd jobs, tilled other people's land, and fixed broken tools, all while battling the constant fear that one sickness or bad season could take everything away. He had learned to live without dreams, because dreams hurt too much when they broke. That evening, Arav was returning from a neighboring village, his sandals heavy with mud, his mind occupied with the price of rice and whether Mira's cough would get worse. When he saw the stalled car, he almost walked past it. Rich people did not belong to his world, and their problems usually came with complications. But then he noticed the man inside, pale and stiff, rain streaking down the window like tears. Something in Arav's chest tightened, the same instinct that had made him sit up all night when Mira had fever, the same instinct that refused to let him turn away. Helping was not easy. The car door was heavy, the wheelchair awkward on the slippery ground, and the rain seemed determined to wash away whatever courage Arav had. But he managed, inch by inch, to bring the stranger into the small shed by the fields, the one farmers used to rest during harvest. The unconscious driver was left in a safer position, and Arav ran barefoot to call the village doctor. By the time help arrived, the billionaire had seen enough to know one thing with chilling clarity. The man saving him had nothing to gain. The billionaire's name was Kabir Malhotra, a man who had built an empire from steel, technology, and ruthless precision. A spinal injury from a car accident years ago had left him wheelchair-bound, and since then his life had become a fortress of money, assistance, and carefully measured distances. People served him, admired him, envied him, but no one truly saw him. Trust had become a luxury he no longer afforded. As he was taken to a nearby private hospital arranged in haste, Kabir could not forget the way Arav had held the wheelchair steady, not with obligation, but with care, as if stabilizing another human being instead of a burden. Days later, Kabir made a decision that shocked his board and baffled his assistants. He refused to return to the city immediately, and instead arranged temporary care in the village. Officially, it was for recovery. Unofficially, he wanted to understand why the memory of a muddy road and a tired man haunted him more than any boardroom battle ever had. Arav was asked, almost ordered to help as a local caretaker. The money offered was more than Arav had ever seen, yet he hesitated, fearing the invisible cost of stepping into a world that did not belong to him. But Mira's medicine was running out, and sometimes survival demands courage disguised as compromise. Life rearranged itself in strange ways. Arav began each morning, helping Kabir with routines that reminded both of them of their vulnerabilities. There was no dialogue of gratitude or pity, only the quiet language of presence. Arav never stared too long at Kabir's legs, never rushed him, never acted as if helping was beneath or above him. Kabir noticed everything. He noticed how Arav's eyes always flicked toward the village road at sunset, waiting for Mira to return from school. He noticed the way Arav skipped meals without complaint, the way he washed his hands carefully, before touching anything that belonged to Kabir, as if dignity were something that could be preserved through small rituals. The village watched from a distance, suspicious and curious. Rumors spread like wildfire. Why would a billionaire stay here, and why had he chosen that widowed farmer to care for him? Some villagers whispered about luck, others about manipulation. Arav felt the weight of their eyes every day, yet he stayed. Because for the first time since his wife's death, life felt like it was moving forward, instead of just circling loss. Change came slowly, almost invisibly. Kabir, who had once measured people by efficiency, began to measure days by quieter victories, watching Mira teach him how to hold a kite string from his wheelchair, seeing Arav repair a broken fence without tools, listening to the distant temple bells at dusk. He learned that strength did not always roar, sometimes it endured silently. Arav, in turn, began to see that wealth did not erase loneliness. Kabir's nights were long and restless, haunted by memories of betrayal, of accidents, of a life permanently altered. Arav never asked about those scars, but his presence was a wordless acknowledgement that pain did not need explanation to be understood. The real challenge arrived when Kabir's corporate world finally caught up with him. Executives demanded his return, deals hung in balance, and whispers of incompetence threatened to undo years of work. Kabir stood at a crossroads, torn between the life he had built and the humanity he was rediscovering. Arav faced his own battle when Mira's health worsened, and hospital bills loomed like an impossible mountain. Pride urged him to walk away quietly, to not become another man asking for favors from the rich. But desperation has a way of breaking pride down to its bones. Kabir saw the struggle before it was spoken. He arranged the best medical care for Mira without turning it into charity, framing it as something owed rather than given. In that act, something shifted irrevocably between them. Arav realized that accepting help did not make him weak, and Kabir realized that giving without control did not make him vulnerable. Trust, once broken in Kabir's life, began to stitch itself back together in uneven but honest ways. As weeks turned into months, the bond deepened into something neither man had expected. It was not romance in the traditional sense, not a dramatic confession or a sudden realization, but a quiet intertwining of lives shaped by loss and resilience. Kabir found himself waiting for Arav's footsteps more than any business call. Arav found himself thinking of Kabir not as an employer, but as someone whose absence would leave a hollow space. Love grew there, fragile and unexpected, born not from perfection but from shared imperfection. The village, once skeptical, began to soften. They saw Kabir sponsor the local school, not with speeches but with books and repaired roofs. They saw Arav stand a little straighter, his laughter returning, Mira's health improving, her world expanding beyond survival. And they saw something rarer still, a powerful man learning to be gentle, and a broken man learning to hope again. When the time finally came for Kabir to leave the village, the air was heavy with unspoken truths. He chose to move his operations closer, reshaping his empire around a life he no longer wanted to escape from. Arav was offered a future that included stability, respect, and love, not as a reward, but as a partnership. The road that once trapped a billionaire had led both of them somewhere neither could have imagined. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, and let us know your thoughts by subscribing to the channel. Your engagement means more than you know. Before the ending, we have one special request. Please comment below with a single word that describes how this story made you feel. In the end, what remained was not the memory of wealth or poverty, but the quiet truth that love does not arrive with permission or logic. Sometimes it comes disguised as rain on a broken road, as a single father with tired eyes, as a wheelchair-bound man learning to trust again. And when it does, it changes everything, not by erasing pain, but by giving it meaning.